I've been butchering last names for the last few weeks.
We all have, by the way. It's okay. You're not alone. We've all been.
So, and Ken's a prime example of that. And so, it would be...
butchering names?
No. Going back to...
That too.
Wankers.
Bastard.
Sorry.
The whole... See, now you made me lose my
I didn't know what you were on about there.
The whole piece of being second if Bale was to come back to another club.
He's not going to. Let's stop talking about it.
It's inevitable.
It's not. Well, not for another 5 years.
It may not be next season, but I don't. If this carries on in Madrid, it's not going to be much longer. One or the other has to go, if not both, because I don't think that club can fit Ronaldo and Bale in the same team. It was okay. It was rainbows and unicorns in the first season, but I think there is now a rivalry, and Bale is not going to be a pushover, and he's not going to take it. And something is going to give, and it may not be this season, it may be next season.
And listen,
continue talking about this while it's being gossiped.
It also completely... Go ahead.
I just said that's it.
Oh.
I'll say no more on that.
It completely points to how class Messi is, that he's been able to surround himself with a Neymar and a Suarez et al., and it doesn't faze him one bit when these guys score. He celebrates their successes as much as they celebrate his. With Ronaldo and Real Madrid, it is Ronaldo, and then it's everybody else.
Yeah, and I think I really believe this. I think Gareth Bale is an forget about football player. I think he's an extraordinary human being. I really, really do believe that.
He's a genuinely good kid.
I think so too, and I actually think that he is the better player of the two. And I also think, just by way of youth, he has more upside. Real Madrid, God, I wonder whether I even just give up on football. If a team like Real Madrid would give up on a player like Gareth Bale, they don't deserve him. They just don't deserve him.
Let me ask this though of you two, and I hate dragging on about Bale. We could do an entire episode probably on the kid. Are they playing him out of position on the right side? Should he be on the left?
No, I don't think so.
On the left, Lennon on the right.
Yeah, but where he came into his own at Spurs was he was basically...
He could roam all over the place.
That's right.
I mean, Harry was playing him down the middle.
And he's never going to be able to...
First time he did that, when he tore Norwich a new one.
Yep.
Yes, what a goal that was. Yeah, and some of his best goals were coming from the right and cutting him from the left. I mean, like what we were trying to see from Lamela. So, I think he's a good boy, and I think Florentino Perez is actually a good businessman. He's not gonna sell him.
I ought to go and I'm gonna go do some graphic probably after this because I was just thinking of something that it kind of rhymes and it's a little poetic. At White Hart Lane, he's making heart symbols with his hands, and in Spain, he's covering his ears. That should say it all. When you score a goal and you're covering your ears rather than running to the corner and throwing a heart sign up with your hands, and being absolutely pumped about it. I don't know. I feel bad for the kid because I think that it's really, when it starts messing with his psyche enough. Listen, you can try to shout it out. You got to live in that city too. You can't just stay cooped up in your house all day long and not go out. And and I think those fans are passionate enough to and they got, what is it? Isn't next week El Clasico? That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it will be. I just think a hopeless romantic and just believe in principles. I think he's a great kid, a great human being, and I think that will prevail. And his skill is, I just think he's in a poisonous situation where there's the big star, the main attraction, and he doesn't like to have any competition. And you watch some of these training videos where Bale's shown him up, and it's not been enjoyable.
I just I look at the dynamic of Spurs, and in 2.5, 3 years, whatever it is, we're going to have a 60,000 seat stadium to fill. I honestly, I know we all love the kids, we all do. We love these academy kids coming through. If you want to fill consistently a 60,000 seat stadium, you better have a Bale-esque player.
We have Harry Kane. What are you talking about?
A Bale-esque player on the wing.
We have Harry Kane.
Open up Harry Kane.
Well, that's true. We have winger issues for sure. We talked about it last week.
Anyway, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know I said I'd finish it, but ESPN just...
You couldn't do it, could you?
They tweeted out the article, Gareth Bale shines, but Luka Modric's return highlights Real Madrid's win. And boom, there's a picture of Bale
and Rat Boy
cupping his ears.
Yep. And our good friend...
you're right, he doesn't look happy upon scoring.
No. Come home, Gareth. Come on.
Go ahead and bring Luka with you. Why not? All right, let's talk about this article. I want to talk about the Premier experience.
Oh, yeah. What an article that was. Right?
If you guys haven't read it, I put the link on our Twitter feed a couple times, and I'm going to
Facebook page,
everywhere else,
and every page.
We're promoting
everywhere yesterday. Well, I'm still reading it.
Yeah, and it's very long.
It's a bit of an anthology. It is a manifesto of sorts.
It is, and I'm really glad he did it.
I am too. I think he covered everything. He left no stone unturned.
Jim Capel, listen, he's an ESPN writer, went over there. It was something like, 5 or 6 matches in 9 days. It was just a whirlwind tour of multiple grounds and experiences, interviewing home and away fans, trying to just gather in as much as he could. It is a just wonderful, beautiful article that he wrote. And when I first read it, and I was like scrolling down, and I got to what I thought was the end, was nowhere near the end. And I'm doing it again, and I'm kind of... Because I got down to this... And most of all, I soaked up enough atmosphere, experienced enough culture, and drank enough pints for the following stories about my Premier experience. When I first got back with Martin Cloak on it, when he had put that out to us, I thought that was the end of the article. And I went back after I tweeted, and I scrolled down, I was like, oh, now it starts. It is a long article.
Clearly a good 15-20 minute read.
Easily. And what the very first couple of paragraphs, and I'm gonna just read just a quick tidbit. Very first section, rivalries. London. A Tottenham fan noticed me taking notes in the cramped concession area at White Hart Lane and asked me what I was doing. I told him that I was an American journalist with ESPN writing about the Premier League experience. You're using a red pen, he said, pointing down toward my hand. Actually, the only red bits were the cap and the hotel chain logo on the side, but apparently that was sufficient to arouse his suspicions that I bore dangerous allegiance to the despised Arsenal. I assured him that the pen marked no Arsenal loyalties whatsoever, and that I had merely taken it from my hotel room, and he accepted my explanation.
Right.
It goes on from there and explodes with content from these people that are coming up to him and that he interviews. It's amazing. Yeah,
and I think that it's great that he writes about that, but he says, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of the way through that this made it for me. Made the article. He said the one team that he decided to hate after all that he learned and went through. Plus, he went to the Emirates. Was Arsenal. Yeah, and he even said Spurs fans, in spite of having that kind of testy, not altercation, but hey, why do you have a red pen with a Spurs fan? He says in that article, thanks to our friends Cat Spurs 71.
Yep.
Cat from the Trust and Martin Cloak, where he said they spent a lot of time contributing to that article, and he said the Spurs fans were the nicest, so I have to hate Arsenal for them. So that was great.
But Cat did point out that when he wrote the article, he put her quote in red.
Oh yeah, she got mad about that. Yeah.
It's funny though. I latched onto that piece with the fan and the red pen, and I said to my wife, I says, so you want to know how intense this anti-red thing is? Let me just read this passage, and I that exact same passage, and she had this grin on her face, like, I get it. You've told me enough, and yep, that is to the point that it probably runs deep with us, and it is. We hate red. Now
we do.
I don't know where it stops with me, but I know I've let that rub off on my children. I'm such a bad dad.
I don't buy anything red. I can honestly, clothes, shoes, if they have red on them, they don't get bought. All of my clothes now, if they're not black, gray, or whatever business type, navy, white, yellow, trimmings or whatever, I am a walking symbol of what this club is. I will not buy anything red. I have one pair of old red New Balance shoes. I use that to work in my garage and muddy them up in the yard. That's
Shredded shit.
That's it. That's it. Nothing else.
I thought it was pretty cool that he talked a lot about Stoke away, and you're going to be making that venue. So he talked about and what was it? Was the old Cyclops?
Yep.
Yeah, was it the old Victoria? Was that the Victoria ground?
Yep,
was that
the old Victoria ground. That was interesting because people talked about how they still drive by that and just 98% of the people are sad that they actually built the new ground and that they drive by that place and just think of the memories.
Well,
it's a very good article.
And it's an interesting subject you bring up because obviously we're on the cusp of that day arriving, and that's always been the nagging thought at the back of my head. is we're going to have a brand new stadium. It is the way of the world. Your 100-year-old plus stadiums will be a thing of the past at some point.
Yep.
Certainly in the Premier League and clubs that have aspirations to be in the Premier League, they will need to have that shiny modern stadium. And a lot of them have been described, particularly with the folks who are kind of anti-modern football.
Yeah.
Those are soulless behemoths, and we point to the Emirates as being that. But I've also heard a lot of people, and this is not me being pro-Arsenal in any way, but that it is a beautiful stadium, that Wembley is a beautiful stadium. And I haven't been to either, so I can't say one way or the other. And I think we all hope that knowing that this stadium will be built at least on part of the foundations of White Hart Lane, will have some of that magic captured in the design and the construction of the new stadium, because I think secretly, although we're all wanting this so that we can compete better, that there is the fear that we're going to be, in a plastic stadium, and I hope to God that is not the case, and that we're not these Stoke fans longing for the days of creaky old White Hart Lane. Because it's a grand old stadium. I love it to death, and Ken, when you see it, you're going to hug it and not want to let go, and it's going to get bulldozed in a few years.
And that's why I'm going, because I want to actually lay eyes on it, because I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Right. I don't know if they're going to, the horseshoe end that they're going to build first, and then it's going to engulf where the old stadium was as they build that Kop end, which they say that I believe the Kop end is going to be where the old stadium used to be. Mm-hmm. I hope they keep something, a semblance of that structure underneath, as whether it be a museum or whatever. And I mentioned this long ago before. I think you guys even had started doing this with me. I always wondered, and I had asked somebody, I think it was via Facebook, about, isn't there a way they can do like St. James Park, where you just build up on the existing foundation? And they said no. When White Hart Lane was originally constructed, the infrastructure underneath was not anywhere near what it can barely hold the weight of what they have now. It just it's not going to work. And plus they have to, they're building a new tube station that's going to run through there and the whole bit. So there's a lot that's going on. And look, we're going to lose the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, there's a gigantic hole immediately as you're facing White Hart Lane, to the north of White Hart Lane.
We've seen the aerial shots, and it's almost like you can see where the stadium is going to lie.
It's huge, and it's gigantic. And they've got that new building. What's it called? Another White House. They got a big, beautiful building. It's nice. Where they're going?
It's got.
It's been a lodge, right?
It's also got the Clark with the golden
that's right.
cockerel on it. I remember taking pictures of that not that long ago, and where is it? Where's it gone? And no one could answer me.
That's where it is.
It's there.
Is there going to be a shelf in the new stadium? I mean, I know there's a lot of talk about that. Is there going to be like a shelf end?
I just know we've talked about replicating what they've done at Dortmund with the Kop style terracing.
Okay.
Which, again, it's been in the artist's rendering, and we would hope that would be something that would create that atmosphere. And, we've got the Park Lane Paxton End rivalry, so to speak, as well as the Shell side, and it will definitely be interesting to see what kind of legacy is held over into the new stadium. But the good thing is, Archway have conceded. Now it's just a case of, I guess, is it going before Haringey to get the final T's crossed and I's dotted and get moving?
Yeah, I mean, there'll be a deal that'll formally be established with Archway as to what their compensation will be and their relocation plans. And
give them some season tickets.
I don't want to beleaguer the point, but it's very interesting what's happening in English football. It's ironic that this is a much older professional sports league relative to U.S. sports, but U.S. sports, particularly football and baseball, have already gone through that first iteration of stadium change. And, look, I mean, there's been we've seen it here in Dallas alone. I mean, we've got this remarkable piece of architecture. Mm-hmm. Does it have does it have that sort of romantic, old, creaky feel like the old Texas Stadium had? No, of course not. But you know what?
It's very plastic in there.
It is, but you know what? It sells tickets, sells expensive tickets, and derives a gigantic amount of revenue, and that's the name of the game now. When you want to have a big budget of for players every year, it's just the state of the game now. And so I think what you're going to see is it's not just going to be the the bigger clubs that are going to be looking for stadiums. You're going to see it across, across the Premier League and also the Championship.